Okay, here we are. We're going to do an IFR approach here at Bardstown Airport. We're going to use runway 3. We had some pretty good, safe IFR. Ceilings are about 1800 with tops around 5500. So we're going to go play in the clouds today and get a little practice. Bardstown traffic, Bonanza 700 Echo Delta departing runway 3. Okay, clear. No one's out really flying today because of the weather. Left tank. Okay, this a little power. Watch everything. Make sure everything looks good. Okay, so RPMs look good. Manifold pressure is gaining. Release the brakes around 2000. Okay, and we're off. Airspeed's alive. Rotate right around 70. And we're at 70. Okay, we got a positive rate. Gear up. Maintain some runway heading here. Keep the RPMs in until we're at pattern altitude. High pattern altitude. I'm going to bring it back about 2680. Turn the autopilot on. Heading and altitude.
Charlie, since you go 31, Daniel.
Climb about 1,000 foot a minute. So a little overcast here at 2,200. Try to get above the clouds here. Tops are forecast at 5,500. We'll find out here pretty soon. So in the soup right now, looking forward to seeing the clear blue sky above. All right, we're through the first layer.
Devil traffic, 5 Alpha Charlie turning left downwind, runway 31, be a full stop, Devil.
Bardstown traffic, Bonanza 7 Echo Delta departing to the east.
Fast filling traffic, 67825 is turning base for runway 3, Mount Sterling. Masterling traffic 67825 is turning final for runway 3, Mount Sterling.
Pull the mixture back a little bit here. So we're 1,000 feet from 6,000. Okay, we got to the top, 5,500, as expected. Beautiful above.
Shuttle traffic, helicopter 20803 is left base for landing runway 01, Shelbyville.
All right, we're at 6,000. We're going to go back to about 2,400 RPMs, which is really about 70%.
5 Alpha Charlie, turning final 31, Devil.
Okay, so we are 6,000 feet. We're going to start getting ready to do the GPS 3 approach at Bardstown. So my first thing, I'm going to go with my GTN 650, and we are going to load a procedure. We're going to load an approach. I'm going to say RNAV 3 approach. We're going to use distill as our initial approach fix. Use distilled. And then we are literally going to load and activate the approach, and we'll see it come up on our G3X. So it's coming up there. I'm going to go to nav mode now.
Traffic 67825, turning left downwind for 3, Mount Sterling.
And we're 22 miles away from distilled. We are 6,000 feet. We look at our approach plate. We need to be at 3,100 feet before we get to the initial approach fix. So we got a little altitude to lose, and we'll do that now that we got on top. Get our airspeed all set up prior to that.
Gonna cross runway 24 midfield. Central traffic.
Lean it back a little bit. Okay, we got a beautiful view right here. So now I'm going to start coming back down a little bit. Give a little bit more time, so we got 20 miles away. Try to stay out of the clouds until we need to be in them. So the way I have mine set up is I have my engine strip, my active flight plan is on my small box and my PFD, and then I like to use the map specifically for the approach procedure so I can see it in visual representation. And then I use my iPad for the plate, and that opens up a little bit more so I can get a little bit more on the G3X system. I'm going to pull back the manifold pressure, start slowing down a little bit, because we'll start a descent soon.
Jamestown area traffic, Navajo 359 Charlie, and we're inbound on the for runway 36.
Alright, we're going to readjust. We're going to start going down here. Start going down to 3,100 feet. So I'm going to adjust my G3X on the PFD to go down to 3,100 feet. Then I'm going to hit my vertical speed, and I'm going to descend usually about 500 feet per minute, so I don't pick up too much speed. And we're going to start a descent now to 3,100 feet to get to the initial approach fix of distilled on the RNAV 3 approach for Bardstown. Pull back my manifold pressure a little bit more so that we can descend a little bit slower. I like the G3X, especially because when I can look at it, it's really giving me a 3D perspective. The synthetic vision's great. It just gives me a whole different visual representation of an approach versus on the old steam gauges. So to me, I feel a little bit more confident with it, and it's I just feel like I'm more a part of the approach by using a visual representation. The amount of information you get from it is absolutely incredible. So here the tops are 5,500, we're going back in. The soup, we're 14 miles away from distilled, 5,500 feet, and we're trying to get down to 3,100 feet. I'm going to increase our descent a little bit so we can have, the blue line at the G3X tells me where I'll be at the targeted altitude, so I'd like to get there a little bit before so I don't go in too fast or too hot. I got a little more time to slow down. I initially will hit I typically hit the initial approach fix at about 130 knots, somewhere where I'm getting close to gear speed and flap speed, and then decrease it from there.
Masterling traffic, 67825 is turning crosswind for runway 3, Mount Sterling.
Jamestown area traffic, Navajo 359 Charlie is by Jaggy inbound on the approach.
Okay, we're getting between layers here. Typically when I fly IFR, I try really not to look out of the windows for spatial disorientation. A little broken layer, I'll look out. But again, I think that the synthetic vision makes such a big difference in spatial disorientation because I have such a good representation of the ground that I never had before until I did the upgrade to my system. But we are in a beautiful area right now where we're between layers. So 4,500 feet for 3,100. So far, we haven't seen any ice. We have an ice, no pilot reports of icing. I check that pretty routinely before I'll fly in the clouds, especially in wintertime. Outside air temp currently up at altitude right now at 4,200 is 34 degrees, so we're still a little bit above, and it's going to warm as we go down. On the ground, we had a temperature about 43 degrees before I took off. The freezing level is definitely about 6,000 or higher, and we weren't in the clouds at that point. So G3X is telling me we got some traffic kind of crossing our path, 1,700 feet below us.
Traffic 67825 is turning.
So hopefully that will not be an issue for us.
3, Mount Sterling.
I'm going to call in a Bardstown, so if anybody's on the frequency, they'll know. Bardstown traffic, Bonanza 7 Echo Delta. We are east of the field. We are on the RNAV 3 approach, looking at distilled. There's traffic in the area. We have you on ADSB, but we'll be watching for you if you can hear me.
And Lake Cumberland Regional, 2200 Foxtrot,
1,500 up to 6,000 departure.
So he's 1,500 feet below me, so he's dropping down, so whether you heard me or not, I don't know. Okay, we should be crossing over him pretty quickly. We are at 3,400 for 3,100 before we get to our initial approach fix. Just reduce that manifold pressure a little bit more. Slow it down. And we are passing over him right now. Hi, cowl flaps are open. Mixture is good, propeller is good for everything right now. Okay, we're 3.5 miles from distilled. We can see the representation of the approach very well. All right, so we're getting our speed down now. 140 knots, probably end up about 125, 130, which is a good speed for the initial approach fix, and we'll slow down more as we go. Before we hit distilled, I'd like to hit my go from nav to approach, because that'll help get our glide path. The two things I want before I get to the initial approach fix is, number one, we're at the right altitude, which we are, 3,100 per the approach plate, and we're in approach mode. That's something we don't want to forget, or it could become an issue down the road. You wonder why you didn't get your glide path, because you're in nav mode, not approach mode. Okay, so the GTN's telling me we're going to turn right to 297 degrees in about 5 seconds. Pretty much flies itself. 127 knots in approach mode at 3,100 feet. Now what I'm thinking about is what am I going to do at my at Maker, which is the next fix, the initial fix. So what we do want to do at that point, by the time I hit Maker, I'm thinking about two things. Number one, I want to put 10 degrees of flaps, since it works well in the Bonanza V35B.